Welcome back for another Waterfowl Wednesday, and today we're going to be talking about how to get permission from landowners to hunt on private property. Up until last December, I hunted only on public ground, and I came to the conclusion in December, once all the marshes froze up and just everything was not huntable, I was like, okay, I either need to find private ground to hunt on or my season is over. So being the bright feller that I am, I was like, I'm gonna go knock on some doors. And that's what I did. First of all, I did scouting, and I scouted out places. I didn't just randomly knock on people's doors and ask for permission to hunt. This was in the middle of the season, so if you want to do that before the season, that is perfectly fine. If I was in town, I would be doing that right now. I'd be approaching landowners that I have talked to before, and I'd be approaching ones that I haven't talked to see if I can get permission on those grounds before the season. But if it's during season, I like to be selective about who I talk to. And so that's kind of what I'm going to go through now, because before the season, you want to have as many properties at your disposal as possible. So take these into consideration when you're doing that as well. First thing first, I like to scout out and find which place I want to go and knock on the door, because finding the landowner is probably the first thing you need to do. Generally, if you knock on people's doors, they'll point you in the right direction to who owns that property. If not, you can get a plot map or use OnX Maps, which I will make another video on here shortly. The next thing you want to do after you find the piece of ground and the landowner, you want to go knock on their door. And the biggest thing that I like to do personally is just look presentable, because I don't want to show up wearing my Drake jacket and Carhartt bibs and just looking like I'm going to go duck hunt. I got decoys in the back. I don't want to do that. I want to basically give the impression that I'm not having an intention today. I want to ask for future permission. And so to do that, I basically just go when I scout, or I make it a side trip after I've done my scouting to go and talk to the landowner. And so I wear like a sweatshirt, jeans, whatever. I just try to look presentable, like I'm going to go to school. That's how I look. And so I go knock on the door, and the landowner comes and answers the door. And I tell them, my name's Josh. I'm a student at Emporia State University, and I was wanting to ask for permission to hunt on your property. After you say that, you can specify which piece of ground you're talking about, or if you're wanting to hunt on the whole piece of property that the landowner owns, you can ask them about that. Most of the time, landowners are fairly approachable. They're farmers, they're regular people, they're not the big bad devil that hates hunters. They're basically going to be friendly to you most of the time. I've only had a couple of landowners just give me a solid just no, and then they shut the door and I walk away, say thank you, and see ya. But a lot of the time, the landowners are going to be fairly approachable and willing to talk to you about it. And if they tell you no, they're going to be like, sorry, maybe somebody else is hunting, or I let my family only hunt, or any other things like that. Sometimes there's other reasons to why they tell you no. They don't just hate you as a person. If they tell me yes, that I can hunt on their property, and I've specified maybe just this pond or these two ponds, or they said, hey, you can hunt wherever, I like to ask them if they would like me to notify them beforehand if I'm going to be out on their properties. What I like to do is I ask them for permission once again. I was like, hey, is it okay if we come out and hunt on Saturday morning at this spot? And then that gives them a little bit more of a heads up, and it's not basically saying, hey, I'm going to be here. It's you asking for permission once again to use their property. And always be grateful for the fact that they let you hunt on their property, because without generous landowners helping us waterfowl hunters, we would not have the crazy awesome hunts that we have as duck hunters. Not just us, but you guys probably have some awesome duck hunts on private ground too. After that, I've got the permission, I've got their phone number, that's it. That's the end of that. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. And then you walk away and you go on to your business. I would say to approach the house with just one person instead of multiple people, because that is it kind of gives you like a one-on-one connection with the person. They're not talking to a group of people. So take that into consideration. I was nervous the first time that I did it, but after my first time, I was like, this is not as bad as I thought it was going to be, because in the back of my mind, I was like, what if they say no? What if they're mean? What if blah, blah, blah? It doesn't matter, because the end goal is to go hunt ducks, and that's just something that we all enjoy. So think about the joy that you're going to get out of getting a yes out of the landowner. The first person that I asked to go duck hunt on their property, they gave me a hard no, shut the door, and that was that. But I shook it off. I went on to the next one, and they said, yeah, you can hunt on this piece of ground right here. I've already got other people hunting here, but you can hunt on this one. So the no's are going to happen. Don't dwell on the no's. Go find people who are going to tell you yes. And maybe it's not on the X, but you're right next to it, and the birds will move. So it doesn't matter. Next week, maybe the birds will be on that piece of ground that you have permission on. There's a couple things I want to touch real quick based on this topic. One is take care of the properties that you have permission to hunt on. Don't trash them, because that could in turn make it so then you can't hunt on there next season, and it could also prevent other people from being able to hunt on that property. So maybe you have a bad experience with that landowner. It doesn't mean that I won't have a bad experience with them, but the landowner will be like, hey, I had these people on here. They trashed the place. I don't want you to hunt there. So it's kind of a little bit of a bummer for me. The next thing I want to talk about, this is the last one, is don't trespass. If you get a no on a property, don't go out there anyways and see if you can get away with it, because once again, that'll just make it a lot harder for people in the area to get access to duck hunting grounds, and just hunting grounds in particular, whether it be deer, turkey, waterfowl, you name it. It would make people a little bit less trustworthy and less willing to let people hunt. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something. Landowners are not that scary. They're not the big bad wolf. They're not going to bite your head off for asking them to hunt on their property. Just be polite, and maybe they'll be polite back to you. And if they're impolite, that's on them. If you like this video, leave me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe already. I post new videos every week, so stay tuned for those. I have a Twitter, Instagram, and a Snapchat, so follow me on those. I also have a Facebook. I'll be using the Facebook more as I get back to school, and I'm online a little bit more than I am this summer. That is all I've got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.